Welcome to Alpha Wolf Impact Club channel. I'm Tim Weintraut, and this is where we shine a light on small companies with big ideas. Our mission here is crystal clear. We want to identify, support, and champion game changers. Those companies that are tackling massive challenges, revolutionizing industries, saving lives, or making us more efficient. For example, today you're going to meet Michael Murray, CEO of Kopin. Kopin is a leading provider of specialized application specific optical solutions for high performance and mission critical AR and VR applications. Michael Murray came in as a turnaround specialist 3 years ago and has turned Kopin into an impact company. I'm going to let Michael tell you more about that in just a moment. This is not to be taken as investment advice. I am not a certified financial planner. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. I encourage everyone to do their own due diligence. Hey, everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Capital coming at you with a follow up to an exciting company that is finally getting its day in the sun, and I can't be happier about that. Michael Murray is here to update us, and man, this whole space is getting so interesting and exciting. Michael, thank you so much for coming in and doing this, man.
Thanks for having us again. I appreciate it.
Michael, look, I have said for a while now that this is not the same old Kopin, right? This is you've been there for what, 2.5, 3 years now?
Just celebrated my third year.
Third.
Actually,
Okay.
in reality, second 2 years and I'd say a half that I've been running the company fully. Um, Dr. Fan retired about 6 months after I joined.
Yeah. And you are talking about a company that is nowhere near what that company was. And I followed them for a long time. So I know this is a whole new culture, whole new animal, right?
Yeah,
And you're finally just now starting to get recognized for what you've done. Not just you, but you and your team, right?
great team. Yeah, we're very proud of the team. We're very proud of our customer base. We've come through a number of issues over the last 2 years. When I joined with the company, our quality wasn't where it should be for our customer base. We had an overhang of a lawsuit that was out there for a better part of a decade. And we also had, some turmoil in the marketplace, not really understanding where Copen fits. And I think what's changed, many things have changed, but firstly and foremostly, our customer base is growing with tier one customers. They love what we're doing because we're doing it with high quality, high reliability, with a great focus on customer satisfaction. We've re-architected our governance. We have a whole new board, which I worked really hard on developing here. And we've also recapitalized the company. We've moved past this lawsuit that was I think misunderstood by many. And we've appealed that lawsuit. As of today, we're moving forward with our federal appeal, which is great news. And we've raised the capital that we need to raise in a great package of 41 million of a private investment in a public entity through Stifel and Craig-Hallum Bank. It was very well received. There were three strategic customers and partners in that transaction. Firstly, being Theon International, who is the market maker and leader when it comes to NATO thermal weapon sights and night vision goggles. A company called Ondas, who you know very well, great folks over there with Eric's team, developing some of the best drone technology in the world and folks that you actually introduced me to, Tim, the great folks over at UMAC and Unusual Machines and Alan and his team, who have been very supportive of me, very supportive of Copen and our direction. I'm going to talk about that today.
I can't tell you, man, how exciting it is for me because I have tried to convey to the investors as and the people that watch these interviews that I'm not just I'm not just an investor in the stock. If I really believe in the company, I'm going to do everything I can to try and help. And that means if there's potential synergistic opportunities between two companies, I'm going to make that introduction at the CEO level, right? And sometimes things work out and sometimes they don't. That's okay. uh, you never know where things are going to go. And I think the drone space right now is, well, let's say it's heating up just a little bit.
It is, and it's all lessons learned. And some of the things we're going to talk about today is the non-obvious reasons why this market is moving in the direction that it is, and why companies like Palantir, Anduril, Unusual Machines, and Ondas and Theon aren't necessarily well understood when it comes to what they provide and why their valuations are where they are. And I think a lot of it has to do with how data is moved, how intelligence is moved, and how the battlefield is changing based on what's happening in the Ukraine,
Yep.
certainly what's happening with Russia today and in China. So we're going to talk about that and how Kopin is positioning itself as the key leader of microdisplay and optical technologies, not only for first-person viewers, which I'm going to talk about today, but also for the Army vision systems. That can include Soldier-Borne Mission Command, which we've talked about and I will talk about. It also includes night vision goggles and certainly first-person viewers for drone control and operation. So those things require these micro displays, which Kopin builds all four types. We've invented a fifth kind, which is the neural display, and more importantly, we've just been awarded the color micro LED by the Army for their applications, which is a $1 billion SAM here in the United States. And on Friday, we announced via 8K that Theon is also moving forward with a color micro LED for a NATO application as part of their original $15 million investment in Kopin. So if you take the $41 million deal we just did, which they were an anchor in, Theon was, and their original $15 million investment, which is now turning up to $23 million, Kopin will be sitting in a very good position from a cash perspective. But more importantly, these companies are market makers in their individual areas, and we will be their supplier of choice, I hope and believe, for their micro displays, which is going to be very exciting for the company. And that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what a transformation, Michael. I mean, you have been on it. You're tireless in your work. When you were
I
here
love
in Vegas for the shot show, and I met you
it.
in person, I can't remember how many places you had been before you got there, but you were looking pretty tired, man.
I'm still looking tired, man. But you know what? I have a tremendous energy for this business. I was very blessed and thankful to be asked to attend the Navy SEAL celebration this weekend here in Massachusetts. So it was just a tremendous uh, um, honor for me to meet with these guys and celebrate with them and talk about how to raise funds for Home Base, which is a program here in Massachusetts that works with special operators. You know, during and after they're deployed. So we raised some money for them this weekend. And this is something I'm really passionate about. So yeah, I might need a little bit of sleep, but I got lots of energy for it. And we're just getting started.
Yeah, I guess that's what we really want to kind of fixate on here, right?
Yeah,
When you suggest that maybe people don't understand the valuations on some of these companies that you just mentioned, and maybe they don't really fully comprehend what's in front of them, right? Um,
yeah,
maybe you could shed some light.
sure. So I think one of the things that is not necessarily well understood is how data moves on a battlefield and why companies like Palantir, as an example, or Anduril have such large valuations. And it's really about data creation, data on the move, which you've probably heard of before, data at rest being in storage, and then obviously data being used as information about adversaries and movements on the battlefield and what have you. That amount of data is tremendously valuable. Think of a headset like our DAVAS or Darkwave capability. Think of it as more of a cell phone, if you will. Any cell phone that you look at in reality is a data developing device. And moving data is a tremendously profitable endeavor. That's how many of these companies make their money. That's how Palantir and Anduril make their money. It's actually through software, encrypting that data, storing that data, analyzing that data, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's why their valuations are so high. It's actually a software play, even though they're making machines. It's about the data creation, the data on the move, the data at rest, and then the data analysis. That is a whole signal chain and value chain that most people don't quite understand fully. For Kopin, where we sit is in the data visualization business. We take data from sensors, as an example, a low light sensor on a thermal weapon site, or we take data from an ATAC system, which you see here. That's what's on the gentleman here at in the middle on IVAS 1.2. That's an Android Tactical Assist Kit. It provides data like drone imaging, as an example. So if you want to see first person view of a drone during the day, you have to have a very bright microdisplay because you have to compete against the ambient background. And that's our DAVAS strategy. As you can see on the left-hand corner, that's our DAVAS strategy. It's a very bright microdisplay that swings down in front of your eye, whichever eye you want. For me, I want to swing down on my left eye. That way I can still fire my rifle with my right eye and I can see what the drone sees. And I can see in color, or I can see in monochromatic type of view, which is very bright on a daytime scene, which you can see here. Same thing at night, though, with our dark wave strategy, which you see in the bottom left. When you're using your night vision goggles, you can't see telemetry, you can't see color, and you can't see thermals. You can see at night, but you don't know where your buddies are and you don't know where the bad guys are. And no drone data from your ATAC system can be viewed through your night vision goggle. Well, now with dark wave, you can see drone video through your standard night vision goggle. And when we showed that to Ondas and we showed that to Unusual Machines and folks like Aero Environment and Theon, they went, got it. That's awesome. I don't have to take my night vision goggles off, then look at a tablet to see what's going on with the drones. That's amazing. How can we get some, right? So that's why this investment with Theon, Ondas, Unusual Machines makes so much sense. But the underlying issue and reason why this is happening now is not well understood. Why this is happening now and why all these companies are getting valued very differently is the United States government, under the Department of War, under Secretary Hegseth, has said, look, no more Chinese displays, no more Korean displays. We want American microdisplays in American gear. And that is what's changed. And I'm going to send you that document that went in front of the Congress and will go ahead to the Senate to be voted on under the Department of Defense. And Kopin is the only United States source of supply of 4 different microdisplays. We invented the 5th, and we were awarded a Industrial Base Analysis and Sustainment Act award to build a color micro LED for the Army, designed by the Army, and built here in the United States, which opens up a $1 billion SAM, serviceable available market, for Kopin here in the United States in 3 product areas, of which we are already in: Soldier-Borne Mission Command, or night vision goggles, day vision goggles, enhanced night vision goggles, full thermal imaging, and the thermal weapon sights, which we currently already build a version of. So if you just look at those 3 markets here for the United States, that's over $1 billion SAM. Now, in Europe, a company called Theon International, which is the market maker, it is the market leader for NATO thermal imaging and night vision goggle and thermal weapon sights for NATO. They just announced on Friday that they're adding more to our original $15 million investment from them to Kopin. They just put in $4 million of NRE cash into the company to develop a specific microdisplay for their needs in NATO, and that's through Theon International. whose stock price is accretive. I think it's over 200% by now. And they're one of the fastest growing companies in Europe, full stop. So this is a huge opportunity for our company, and we are going to execute.
Does this feel pretty good to you?
I feel great. I do. I think the mood here is ecstatic. We have a clear direction. We have the United States government and Department of Defense pushing us along, and we're very much partnered with them. I speak often on Capitol Hill. You've probably seen some social media with me. I speak to the United States Assured Electronics Act, which is driving much of this. And I think it's a good time for Kopin. I think our strategy has been affirmed. I think the Army is comfortable with saying to Kopin, we believe in you. We want you, Kopin, to be our supplier for a color micro LED for soldier systems, which is very different than what we're doing, by the way, on our monochrome micro LED, which is going into production for an aircraft application. Unfortunately, they're so different that we can't reuse any of those designs, and we couldn't anyway, because they're bespoke for different customers. But yeah, I think we're in a very good place to grow, and that's what we're going to go do. We just have to execute.
So when you say that, when you say just have to execute, what exactly does Copa need to do to execute?
Yeah, there's multiple phase gates. Let me back up in terms of slides here. So many folks are aware that there are two prime contractors for the Soldier Borne Mission Command contract, which is a multi-billion-dollar program. It's about 22 billion. So the first prime award went to a company called Anduril. We know them very well. We are working with them on multiple different programs. I've personally met Palmer, great guy. He's much taller in real life. He's much taller than I thought he was going to be. Very, very nice guy, and very, very smart. I think he's interesting from a standpoint of what he's done with his company, and he's very much focused on this market. The second award went to a company called Rivet Palantir, and Rivet is actually funded by Palantir. So those are the two prime awards. There are multiple phases in this, Tim, where prototypes will be developed and delivered to the Army, and then sub-selections will go behind that. So outside of the prime awards, there are key technology areas, or CTAs, which the Army has decided to invest themselves, one of which is the color micro LED for this program.
Got it.
They are going to invest in Kopin and one other company who I can't mention, they have not come out publicly, but there are two prime awards for the micro LED, Kopin and this other company. And as we go through these phases, Palantir, Rivet, and Anduril Meta will be going through their phases. We are aligned with those companies. We are sharing roadmaps with those companies. Once the color micro LED is ready and sampling, we will supply them with our color micro LED, and it'll be a bake-off. It'll be a challenge. It'll be a competitive award.
So essentially, it's going to be you and one other supplier that are going to provide these things, and one of the two of you is going to win, right?
Yeah, because the volumes are so high, and this is not necessarily well known. I can't give you the exact numbers because they don't want me to, but let's give ranges of around 8,000 to 12,000 units per year of the headset, which there are two micro displays, potentially more than that, by the way, per headset. So when you think about that, it gets into the 100,000 to 240,000 units of this color micro LED, which is a very exciting volume. So I think there'll be a prime and subprime award. Most of these types of programs that are this big will have a prime, a second prime, and subs below them, just because the volumes are so exciting. And I think the Army is also wary of having a single supplier like Microsoft and the IVAS 1.2 as an example. So we're happy with that. We're more than willing and able to compete. We have built micro displays for many decades. And we, like I said, built 4 different types. We invented a 5th. We're the only US company right now, to my knowledge, with a production micro LED anyway. We have a good position. We just have to execute. But to be clear, as these prototypes go back to the Army for review, they will not have a color micro LED in them until it's ready. And that's okay. We understand that. We are engaged in those prototype phases, but ultimately we are focused on being the production supply of a color micro LED, which is hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue for Kopin.
So let me ask you, what are you going to have to? I mean, let's just say, let's move. Let's say you get this contract. Let's say you're the prime. What do you
Yep.
have to do for you to be able to handle that kind of volume?
So we're working right on that right now. We have our partners selected for all the pieces of building a micro display like this because we've done it before, as I said before, just a monochrome version. But this design will be completely different. But some of our partners will be similar. So we have that set up. We're also working with the Industrial Base Analysis and Sustainment Act Office, or IBAS office, and we're working with them to create funding for a United States sovereign production line here, either in Massachusetts or another state. We're working with them to create that production line for production in late 27 and 2028. And that production line will be custom and bespoke for this design for the Army. And those funds, Tim, this is really important that investors understand this. Those funds would come directly through the IBAS office, or Industrial Base Analysis and Sustainment Office, as monies, non-taxed and non-dilutive investment from the US government for Kopin to build that production facility and the production
Oh,
line
that's awesome.
here in the United States. The reason why this is so important that investors understand, there's no company, including Kopin, that would build this microdisplay as a product. It is so bespoke, so difficult to manufacture, and it is designed specifically for the Army's application that there's no commercial company that's ever built one like it. And there probably wouldn't be because it's going to cost a lot. There's going to be one customer, which is the Army for this
Which is
specific
crazy,
device.
right? I
Because
mean,
it's so
typically
bespoke.
DoD. I mean, they'll actually fund things with the hopes that it will be used by the consumer, right? So that way, when it's not wartime, they've got production. The company has production of that. So you're talking about this is a very unique situation here, where you're talking about the Army is going to be the only one that has and uses this thing, right? Or the military,
Exactly.
we should say.
Exactly right. And that's part of what the IBAS office does, Industrial Base Analysis and Sustainment Act. What it does is it looks for technologies that are critical technology areas. And I'm going to send you this roadmap, by the way, that went to the Undersecretary of War. And it is a public document. You can share it with your investors. So you can see that microdisplays, specifically human in the loop, and this is really important, human in the loop, bi-directional microdisplays are critical technology areas of
Uh,
investment for the United States Army. And the reason why is not obvious to investors. And here's why. China has spent over $100 billion developing a color micro LED for their army. Therefore,
wow.
they can see us before we see them in color, and the battery life is better, and the brightness is better, and the contrast is better than what we currently have in production. And that means Russia, Iran, and North Korea have it too. So now there's an asymmetric battlefield where our forces, which own the night, quote unquote, right? The US owns the night, are now being able to be seen by our adversaries before we see them. So the asymmetric battlefield has changed. That's unacceptable, man.
Yeah.
Completely unacceptable. So when I
Well,
go talk to, Navy SEALs like I did this weekend here in Massachusetts, and they see weapon sites out of China that have this technology and we don't, really? Come on. How is that possible? Well, it is
right.
possible and it did happen. Therefore, the Industrial Base Analysis and Sustainment Act is there to take technology and develop it here in the United States that's critical for the United States Army. And that is what Kopin was just awarded, a $15.4 million prototype order from the Industrial Base Analysis and Sustainment Act to bring this technology to the United States to save lives of our Army men and first responders and special forces. So that's the reason why we were awarded this. And it's a huge badge of honor for us, something that I take tremendously seriously.
I mean, Michael, you've got to be. This didn't happen overnight. I mean, this is part of the transformation of Kopin, right? I mean, you were in the right position at the right time.
I think we actually created this position.
Yeah.
And when I started with the company 3 years ago, if you look back at my original slide deck, it had this same slide. Do you know that? It actually had this slide without Darkwave and DAVAS, but it had IVAS 1.2 as a target for us because I understood that the physics of how this system needed to work needed a color micro LED, or at least a very bright OLED. But what we found with OLEDs is because of the organic material of the display itself, pushing that much current through it and voltage through it, it actually erodes the organic material too quickly. And that's why a color micro LED is perfect for this application. But moreover, it's perfect for night vision goggles and thermal weapon sights because of the brightness, contrast, and ruggedized display that it is because it's not organic. And one of the things that we've learned, from our friends in the Special Forces, this line that I'll never forget: batteries replace bullets, right? Batteries replace bullets. And if you have to replace bullets with batteries, well, that's not a great trade-off, my friend.
No.
So for the same amount of battery, you get tremendous brightness, longevity, lifetime using a color micro LED. And that's why the Chinese selected it for their weapon sights and night vision goggles and heads-up displays for their aircrafts, right? But we're behind. That's why we're getting this investment now. We have to have it now. Our armed forces deserve it, right? I mean, they deserve to have the best technology. And that's what I'm focused on. That's the ethos of what Kopin is going to do from now on. And ever since I walked in this door, is we are going to provide the world's best technology that we've invented, by the way, to the weapon fighter. And part of that technology, is our neural display capability. This is the only bidirectional, human-in-the-loop microdisplay that does not use cameras to track your eye. And that was invented here. Actually, I was the lead inventor of it. And we are adapting a current technology that's in OLED to do this in a color micro LED format right after we're done developing the IBAS product for the Army. This is something that we'll bring to market right after we're in production with the color micro LED. So that's why the neural display is still on this page. It will set us apart.
Is this the same thing you were showing you were at some gaming expo thing?
Yep.
Is this the same thing that you were showing them?
Yep. Yeah. And for gamers, as an example, if you look to the right-hand part of the slide, this is the Apple Vision Pro. And if you look at our product, which removes 6 cameras, 6, so 2 on the top, 1 on the bottom, 2 at the top, 1 on the bottom. It removes all of those cameras and all the latent IP that's got to go into that, meaning the cables, the post-production and pre-production visualization in a graphical processor. It takes all that away and it does it right in the microdisplay, so you're not shipping around data. So it's a great device. It does work. We spent a very minimal amount on developing it, but the Army definitely is interested in it, as well as some other applications. But it needs to be a color micro LED. OLED, it's just too dark. It will not get the brightness for the voltage and the power consumption. So this design will follow right behind our color micro LED development for the Army, and it'll set us apart because we're the only ones in the world, to my knowledge, and we patented this technology that has it. And I think it's going to actually make the warfighter even lighter, use less power, and it's certainly going to be less cost. So it's a tremendous technology that Kopin has developed here in the United States, and it is AI enabled. And that's how we do the inference around how big your pupil sizes will get based on a number of different factors that I can't talk about.
It's you're very reserved right now for I mean, I would be jumping out of my skin, I think, right now, because I mean, if people watching don't understand or comprehend what you're saying, that's fine. I guess, you're gonna miss an opportunity here, but uh the TAM on this thing is so massive, and the need for it is like now, right? I mean,
And
let's
I think
talk about how significantly changed the whole your cap table, everything looks right now today, compared to what it looked like 2 3 weeks ago, right? I mean, this is a whole different ball game, man, right?
completely.
I mean, what are you worried about, Michael? What are you worried about?
I think for us, we have a great plan to build this color micro LED and continue building our current products, of which we've got some great programs, which I'll talk about in a minute, that are moving into production. What I worry about the most right now is where the talent is. There is a war on talent right now, specifically in AI, which we are involved in, as you know, and certainly in the drone development stages. There's definitely a war on talent, and we're winning it, which is great because we're smaller than some of our bigger partners, like a Raytheon as an example, who's local here. So we pick off a lot of engineers that want to work somewhere smaller but still have the same sort of engineering challenge. But that's really the big key is making sure that we have the right talent in the right places to really execute. Right now, I look at 2026 and 27 as years of execution. We have a number of new programs that, if executed well, will completely change the face of Kopin forever in terms of revenue. As an example, the Soldier Borne Mission Command display, we talked about that. That's 240,000 displays. Night vision goggles, 20,000 displays. The next generation of thermal weapon sights, we already build 20,000-ish units per year of our LCD version of that we believe will go to a micro LED in the future. And then we've got the folks over at Aero Environment, where we're working on some training and simulation, next generation Stinger missile launcher. And we're also doing the eyepiece for Lockheed, which can be very significant revenues for the company in terms of over $100 million just in next generation short range interceptors. So we're very much engaged. But I think the point, Tim, is to your investors and to you, these are programs of record. These are orders we've
Yeah,
received.
tell them what that means specifically.
Sure. So a program of record basically means that the United States government has allocated budget monies to develop this technology to a certain degree and or go to production. So in this specific case, Lockheed and another company are vying for the NGSRI program. We believe that it'll likely be split in two. Lockheed could win the whole thing. We don't know. But ultimately, we've been working with them specifically to develop the eyepiece, which is brilliant. It's beautiful. It's probably some of our best design work. But these are programs of record that the United States government has issued either IDIQs, which is indefinite demand, indefinite quantity, and they can run for 10 years, very similar to our thermal weapons sight program or our fast moving jet program that we've been in for many years and will be moving forward to production on our OLED capabilities shortly. So all these are orders that we have. In fact, it's on the slide that we're either in low rate initial production or entering full production. And we'll continue those for 26, 27, and 28. In some cases, our pilot helmet program, we have visibility until 2030. And that's why we're very confident in our ability to hit 100 million in peak annual revenue. Now, that's just on this page.
Yep.
That's just on this page. We've not talked about the new drone applications. We've not talked about Soldier-Borne Mission Command. We've not talked about Theon now going and investing in Kopin to build a NATO version or European version.
I don't see the medical on here either.
Sorry?
The medical.
Nope.
This right?
This is just on this page alone. Medical's not on there.
Yeah.
We also have new opportunities in Europe. Just because we partnered with Theon, it's now opened doors in Europe that, quite frankly, we didn't even know were there. We tried to adapt our sales force to focus more on defense in Europe, who is going to spend $1 trillion in defense spending moving forward. And we just didn't have the right people to open the right doors. But Theon is already in those rooms. So we're going to market through them, and they're going to go to market with us to build microdisplays and optics in the UK for NATO, for Europe, and that's a tremendous opportunity for our company to grow from literally zero revenue in defense in Europe to 25 million, which is my goal by 27. For European revenues. And I have to say, Theon is one of the best run companies. Christian, who's the CEO of Theon, has just done a tremendous job with this company. They are very passionate, very talented engineers. We're lucky to have them. And I'm really enjoyed working with Christian and his team. And we're very blessed to have, Eric and his team at Ondas and Alan at Unusual Machines to work with us as well.
It's so awesome to see, man. I mean, it's just this is what we need, right? I mean, this
Yeah.
is this is what America needs. We need more of this kind of thing, this cohesive joint effort together. Let's work together. Let's make things awesome, right? I mean,
And
let's
make them here, right? One of the things that I'm very proud of is one of the things I got beaten up on pretty hard when I joined was moving out of China. And we've moved our production. We still have those relationships if we want them, if we want to build in China for certain applications, like medical, as an example. It's just cheaper. Of course it is. However, for the United States Department of Defense, that is no longer acceptable. But moving our production out of China and focusing on building things here and in Europe not only creates a better absorption rate for the factory here, as well as our factory in Dalgety Bay, Scotland. As the absorption rate goes up in those factories, our profitability is linear to that absorption rate, right? That's just the nature of manufacturing. So that's also why having Theon work with us and own 49% of our Dalgety Bay location and adding more capabilities and production there will help our profitability because that's our biggest profit leaker. It's the most or underutilized facility that we have. But next year, it's going to be greatly utilized as Theon starts to create more products and we start to work with them in Dalgety Bay. So there is more of an OpEx view here than people may realize.
I don't know if you know this, but Canada is actually going to spend like 9 billion. Did you know that?
Yeah,
On defense. I mean, when's the last time that happened?
yeah,
Never.
well, yeah, no, it's when you see Canada and Switzerland start to spend money in defense, um, firstly, that's good for my business, our business. However, not great for the geopolitical,
No, no.
you
I mean,
know,
look, that's the sad thing. But I mean, it's not like we can just ignore what's happening, right? I mean, you can't stick
no,
your head in the sand. You've got to prepare just in
you
case.
do. And I think there was a big wake-up call when we started to find microdisplays in Chinese and Russian equipment that were clearer, brighter, had better contrast and better power consumption than what our troops have. That's unacceptable. Period. Full stop.
Yep.
And Kopin is more than capable of taking this technology to market, and we will take this technology to market and create that asymmetric battlefield that our troops deserve and our allies deserve. Because again, there's only a few things that I keep in my mind when I come to work. And the biggest thing that we can do at Kopin to help save lives is provide visualization beyond imagination. That's not just a term or a
I
catchphrase.
love that. Yep.
And the second thing we can do in defense is provide our troops and our allies the ability to see their adversaries before they're seen. Because if that happens, they're more likely to come home.
Yes.
Period. Full stop. If
Yep.
we can do that, if someone comes to me one day and says, like in the meetings that I had this weekend, if someone comes to me one day and says, you know what, Michael, I used a Theon or an Ondas or an unusual machine, first person viewer, or a DAVAS Darkwave or Soldier Borne Mission Command, and your display was in it, and I got to understand what was going on in the battlefield and chose a different route or was able to access a buddy of mine that was wounded. I mean, that to me is just brilliant, right?
Yep.
That to me would be just tremendous if we're able to affect someone's lives in that way, while still creating a great business for the men and women that work here at Kopin and our investor community, which we're blessed to have. That would be really great.
This is the kind of company. This is the kind of company that you can feel good about supporting as an investor. Look, it's been a long road. How, Michael? How long has Copen been publicly traded?
36 years, I think.
How
It's
many?
been in business for over 40, I believe, at this
In
point.
36 years on the exchange, right?
Correct.
in
I believe so.
36 in 36 years, the stock is not. Let's just say it's been a very, very rough ride for most of the long-term investors, right? If you don't recognize that this is a brand new Copen, right? And it is typically it takes about 2 years or so. I have found when you get somebody that comes in and takes over to really change the culture and create it their own, right? I mean, and that's what you did. That's what I recognized uh, because I had been in COVID for years, man, and it was like the most painful thing because it never went anywhere. It was just
Yeah.
constant R&D spending, right? It was just
Yeah.
nonstop R&D. Couldn't make money, and this is a different look. I don't even want to bring up the lawsuit thing because I still don't understand. I just don't understand how logically the company that created something that didn't work very well somehow is going to get more money that by creating something that didn't work very well than if they would have made if they created something that worked. I, I can't. Those things don't make any sense to me at all. Right? You're going to right now. You're appealing it. I hope to God. I hope to God those three judges have a brain between the three of them that comes to the conclusion that doesn't make any sense. Why would they get paid more for something that doesn't work that you sold like minimal amounts of? Right? I mean, it's not like the company made this huge windfall of dollars from that product. You don't even use the product. So how is this? How is that right? How is it just? How is it fair? I don't see it. Right? You are now in a position that you've got the bond covered, everything's golden. I mean, if the judges don't have a brain and they award them that full amount, then okay, that's done, it's over, and you move on, right?
Right.
However, if the judges do have a brain and they say, no, sorry, this doesn't make any sense, either throw the whole damn thing out or drastically reduce the amount of money that gets paid to these guys, right? That's a windfall like that,
Yeah.
right?
It would be. So the cash is going to show up on the balance sheet as restricted cash because it's sitting in a bond. But to give you a sense, with the recent capital raise that we've done with the three strategics, Theon, Ondas, and Unusual Machine, we raised 41 million of an oversubscribed book, by the way. I shut it down, which was tremendous to see investors rally behind me, rally behind the company, and say, you know what, Michael, you've done everything that you said you were going to do, and we believe in you. That was, to me, magic, right? So, and wonderful to hear. But On top of that, we have the 15 million strategic investment that is going through foreign domestic review right now, which is standard course. It should close around October 15th. That Theon just increased, by the way. We've put an 8K out on Friday that they've increased that, and we believe it'll total around 23 million of investment on top of the 15. So if you're following along here, we'll have the 41 plus the 23-ish on top of that, and the bond, which is 23 million-ish, plus some cash that we already have sitting on the balance sheet. We're going to be well capitalized for the future, a going concern once we announce our financials for Q3, which I can't talk about, obviously, but we'll have that ability to show enough cash for operations for at least 5 years. And the way that I spend and invest, it has to have a return on investment. And just because we have cash in the balance sheet doesn't mean we're going to go off and build the Taj Mahal and what have you and spend money frivolously. I just don't live that way. I don't manage that way, and the company isn't going to be run that way. So I think investors will really respond well to that. And now the risk of the lawsuit, really, it's about the risk, right? I mean, investors are more concerned not about what it is or what happened, et cetera, da 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 da. It's more about what is the risk, and the risk to Kopin moving forward is abated, and I look forward to arguing this with Quinn Emanuel, who I believe is the best appellate law firm in the country. And I look forward to seeing them and hearing them argue our case in front of the 3 judges and come what may from there. I can only do what I can do. I inherited this situation, and we'll move on from there.
Michael, we talked about all this stuff. We didn't really hammer home on the other divisions. I know you got to go, but of the other opportunities that are in front of you, you've got gaming, you've got medical, you've got lots of other stuff, right? That's cooking. It's not, you're not going to be all government. Let's just put it that way,
No,
right?
no, we still have our medical device is now in, I believe, and I've heard this number. We're in 20 hospitals. I think we've done over 200 surgeries with the HMDMD CR3 headset through Carl Zeiss, who now has this on their website, so you can actually go look at this. It's called the CR3 headset as part of their surgical vision system, which we built and designed here in the United States. And that product we have high hopes for. But medical takes long. It takes a long time for the adoption rate in medical. As an example, if you go in for a new heart surgery, do you want the surgeon to be talking to you about, I'm going to do it a different way this time? Oh, wait, no. You're going to operate on my heart in a different way than you've normally been doing it? No. So it just takes a little while to bring surgeons up to speed, get them comfortable with the device and how it works, and build that trust, right?
Right.
And that takes a while, but it's coming. We also have our 3D AOI business, which is somewhat nascent right now and de minimis on the balance sheet, but that's really because of geopolitical issues and why we've pivoted the folks in Dalgety Bay to focus more on defense. And then from a consumer perspective, they still want the neural display because it reduces size, weight, power consumption. We've just got to make it in a microLED. Once we do that, I think there's going to be a tremendous uptake. But that's a licensing model, one that we're working with one of the big 3 in California right now. We've been talking to them about how to license this technology and maybe invest in co-developing it together. But for Kopin, we're not capitalized to build $1 billion fabrication plant to build what these folks would need in terms of supply. We're just not capitalized for that. I'm not going to say that we are. We would have a license model with potentially a big Korean microdisplay company and their big customer who already works with them, license the technology from us. We would work with the microdisplay manufacturer that's already spent the $1 billion to build the fab on a 12-inch line. And that's really the go-to-market strategy there, which is a little bit different than what Kopin was trying to do previously. And I think the issue with consumer is it still doesn't really have that killer app that I think everyone wants to have. But with Meta's new glasses coming out with the microdisplay, that's going to float all boats. And I think Apple's probably going to come out with something pretty cool soon too. So we'll wait and see.
This is the Michael Murray show. I just want everybody to know, because I'm going to tell you right now, man. I got a lot of heat from a lot of people for when I started covering Kopin, how and everybody was just telling me, "Oh, this is the same old garbage company." And from the moment that I met you,
Mm,
I knew this was not the same old garbage company. There's a whole different caliber, right? And this is a perfect example of why I say getting to know leadership is so critical, right? I mean, it's not just the product or it's not the product or the service only. You could have great product, great service. You have to have great leadership too. I mean, it's
absolutely.
the jockey and the horse. It's both, right? And you when you came in, I just knew. I just knew. I knew you were the right guy, the right jockey for this company, and it's coming through, and that is gratifying to see on many levels. I mean, I think about how much that impacts so many things, right? It impacts our military, it impacts
Yeah,
the community, it impacts, jobs. There's so much impact from this, and it's the
absolutely.
right combination.
Yeah, I mean, we look at it as we are a part of a system, and we want to take more of that system onto us. As an example, I tell the story all the time. If you wear glasses, you don't go into lens crafters and just walk out with some lenses, right? It doesn't really do you any good. But what we are there to do is to work with you on the right type of lens, which is the right type of microdisplay. And we built four different kinds. We invented a fifth, right? So I will work with a customer and give them LCD, OLED, micro LED if it's the right display for that application. Whereas my competitors only sell OLED as an example. That's all they have. Well, okay, well, are you going to get the best solution? Maybe not. Then we're going to work on, okay, what kind of frames do you want with that, Mr. or Mrs. Customer? And how do we provide that great service to you so that you get what's bespoke for your application specific use case? And that's why I think Lockheed really liked working with us, because we listened to what they really need, what their users really need, and now we're delivering that design. But it's not just a micro display, it's an optic, it's a drive electronic, and some sort of small housing. So that brings us up the food chain more. And that's a very big different change for what Kopin was in the past, which was strictly a micro display vendor, which is fine. I'll sell micro displays all day long. It's very profitable. But that's not what our customers want from us. It's not
Right.
what they're asking for. So let's listen to them, give them what they want, charge the proper price for it, which has been a cultural change here that I'm still
Yes.
driving forward, because we create a lot of value in that system. And we have great people that are providing tremendous value. And, it all starts at the top with the team, right, Tim? Like you said. And now we have a whole new board of directors. The old board was great. But now, when you look at Dave Newsma, who was the former president of Collins Aerospace, Paul Walsh, former CFO of Allegro Microsystems and Silicon Labs, and Marnie Seif, who I worked with for many years at Analog Devices, former general counsel. She and I purchased several companies together, absolute pro. And, Jill is our remaining board member, who is a professor of strategy at Harvard. So great board. I think the leadership team is very much vested in our success and our future, and we've been able to grow and increase our talent levels. And our customers are valuing what we're providing to them because our quality is now next to the best in the industry, and that's what customers want, I think.
Yeah. Kudos to you, man. Kudos to you and your team. And I think this is the beginning of the new Kopin. I think people are going to start hearing this. This is going to become more of a household name, in my view. It's been around for 36 years on the exchange, and nobody knows who the hell you are. I
Yeah,
guarantee that's changing, right? That
yeah.
that that's changing.
Yeah, it's coming. I can feel it. I can hear it. We're going to have a lot of press coverage at AUSA next week, which I'm looking forward to. There's been a lot of recent articles that really capture the strategy, and which I'll send you and you can share out. And again, I think if your viewers and listeners just listen to one thing, everything that I've talked about today has happened already. It's happened already. We've won the order, the 15.4 from the IBAS office. We've got the displays and the CR3 headset in Carl Zeiss's hand. We have Theon as a strategic partner and NATO developer, and they are placing orders. We do have a relationship with Ondas and Unusual Machines and a way to visualize their drone camera imaging. Whether you're wearing a night vision goggle or in the daytime, doesn't matter. We can visualize it for you today, right? So this is all going on. These are all things that we've done, not that we're going to do, that we've done. And
Right.
that's what's important. That's what's changed. When you listen to me talk, it's not about what we're going to do, it's what we've done and how we're going to build on that to grow revenues in the future and profitability in the future, which I'm not going to let up on profitability because we have a good balance sheet now and cash in the bank. That is not going to happen. I'm still going to be focused on driving to earnings per share and break even. That is still a commitment that I need to make and want to make as a business leader. So,
And I believe you. I mean, here's the thing. You have you've done everything you told me you're going to do, right? And I know how
right.
hard you work. And I know some pretty smart people who think you're a pretty smart guy. And that's why they decided to partner up with you, right? So I mean, I am so excited for so many reasons about this whole thing that and it is I can't wait to see where all this goes, man. I just have a really good feeling about more than what it's going to do for my portfolio. Just if we could have more of this across the United States
Yeah.
in everything that we do would be so awesome, right?
Absolutely. And that's why, listening to Eric speak at Ondas and Alan at Unusual and Christian at Theon, if you ever get a chance to meet him, these are very passionate people about what they do, and they want to build a ecosystem of partners that can create tremendous technology and value for our shareholders, for our customers, for our employees, and for America. Like ultimately, that's what we're doing this for, is for the sovereignty and protection of America, our troops and our allies, and our first responders, and our surgeons, and you and me, right? I would much rather go into a heart surgery seeing a CR3 headset on a surgeon than looking up at some monitor, hanging off the wall. So there is more to Kopin than people really understand. We do have a direction and a focus, and the teams here are super energized. I'm energized, although I could use a vacation. But it's going to be an interesting ride, man.
All right, man. Listen, I know. I can't. I could talk to you for like 3 days straight, but I know you have stuff to do. This is all I'm going to say to the people watching. Here's the thing. If you think you missed the move after listening to this interview, if that's what you think, okay. I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody what to do. It's not what I do. But I can tell you this. I think after listening to this interview, it is very clear to me that this is the beginning, folks. This is the beginning, okay? And this is the opportunity to get in when the risk is just not, there's not a lot of risk here, all right? And there's a whole hell of a lot of potential reward ahead. So,
Absolutely.
look, I'm not going to press you on when are you going to get to profitability. I know there's a lot of moving parts and pieces. We'll
Yep.
see how things develop. We'll have you back, hopefully sooner than later, uh, and we'll talk about how things progress. But you're on the right path. You have the right vision in mind, and it's going to get there. It's going to get there, and the share price is going to go with it. So, right? All right, Michael.
We're just focused on what we can control, and I think we're going to have a great ride here.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, man. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm gonna let you go. We'll have you back when you always are. You're good at getting in touch with me when it's about time, right? So
Yep.
we'll have you back when we can. All
All
right.
right.
Hold on one second. I'm gonna put you on. Thank you for tuning in to another CEO interview here at Alpha Wolf Capital. Today we had Michael Murray from Kopin. I hope you enjoyed today's interview, and if you did, do us a favor, give us a like. How about giving us a share? And while you're at it, make sure you smash that subscriber button. All of those things are extremely important to us here at Alpha Wolf Capital, and we appreciate you taking the time to do that. Until next time, stay safe. Alpha Wolf Capital wishes you the very best. of success.